Hello, David Colin Stevens here, and welcome to another how-to video. The viewer of this video acknowledges that this company and/or persons involved in the production of this video will not be held liable in any way for any projects completed by the viewer. Always check with your local city building department before starting your project to ensure that you are following the current building codes and city ordinances. Take all safety precautions necessary, be sure all tools are working properly, and have all safety features installed are also working properly. So come on everybody, here we go!
Well, good morning everybody. David Colin Stevens here, and today we're going to show you how to replace your garage door, the one that goes from your inside your garage to your backyard. Usually just a passage door. It's very easy to do, very simple to do. We'll show you all the tools you need, and we'll show you each step of the way. And no, I'm not from Williamsburg, Virginia. I just visited there. I'm actually a Southern California contractor, so I have to deal with things like sunshine. That's pretty much about it, and termites. So all of our how-to videos are based basically in Southern California. So we'll show you first which tools we're going to use, and then we'll show you how to measure, and then we'll show you how to install it. Should be able to do this in a day, no problem. I have total faith in you. So turn the camera around, and here we go. Bye-bye. Okay, this is a door we're going to be replacing. Notice the outside is stucco, and it's a wooden door frame with a wooden door in it. Now this door could probably be painted, but the bottom of it's a little rotted out here, so we're going to go ahead and just replace the entire door and frame. Now you could just replace the door by taking it off the hinges and cutting a new door to fit in place, but we actually have a much easier solution, and it's actually better in the long run. So we're going to open up this door. Notice that it's a wooden jamb, wooden door. We're going to actually pull out this jamb and the door, the whole thing. On the inside we have drywall, but basically what we're going to do is pull that out. And what we've already purchased is this door right here. What this door is called a pre-hung. This is a fiberglass door, so it withstands weather really well. It's already pre-hung in the frame. It even has a nifty little holes in it already drilled out for your deadbolt and doorknob, so you don't have to do that. And basically, we pull out that door and we put in this door. Really easy. So, we'll proceed on. Some of the tools you might need, not really required, although this is a tool I use mostly for everything, and that's a Sawzall. What we'll do is we'll take the Sawzall and we'll actually slide it in between the frame right here and the stud right behind it and cut the nails. That'll make this frame slide out really easy. So you can buy a Sawzall usually for under $100. Cordless drill is pretty much a necessity for any job. Always buy yourself a good cordless drill because that's what you'll be using most of. You can get yourself a finish nailer, or you can nail by hand. We have an assortment of different deck screws. We're going to use those screws to install the frame into the jamb. And then over here, compressor, of course, for your air gun, and then a chop saw always comes in handy, although you can just use a miter box. So all these tools you can get really inexpensively from, I won't name them, but basically they're a tool store all over the place, and they have sales every weekend, and you can usually get a discount. Okay, here's how you measure for your door. You basically measure the width of your existing door. And you measure from the outside jamb to the outside jamb. You start with the width and then the height. That's always the way you measure for windows and doors, is width first and then height. So we measured, let's see if I can get in a spot where we can actually see, because the light's not that great in here. And, oh, there we go. Right down here. We measured from the back of this jamb right here to the outside of this other jamb to right here. And basically we came up with 32 inches. And then we measured the same thing across the bottom, same thing across the top, just to make sure it's 32 inches. And then what we did was we measured from the sill on the concrete part. We measured from the concrete that the sill sits on all the way up to the top side. Come on, camera. There we go. Top side of the jamb. That's right up here. And we basically had 80 inches. So what we did was we ordered a door that's a ½ inch smaller than that in width and height. There we go. So if I said 32, this door is 31.5, and if I said 80 over there, then our height is actually 79.5. And what that does is it gives you a 1/4 inch all the way around to square up your new door into the existing opening. Okay, step number one is we're going to remove this doorknob because we're going to reuse it. This is a quick set doorknob. One of my favorites because this is called a smart key. As you can see, it's got a little slot right there by the keyhole, so I can rekey this knob to match any key I want to. And then I also have a deadbolt that's a smart key, so I can just deadbolt or take the smart key and match it to this lock. Kwikset's very good about that. Saves you a lot of time, a lot of money. Lock's a little more expensive, but it's worth it. So you take off this lock, and then you're going to unscrew this door and take it off. Just unscrew it at the hinges there. And then you're going to take your Sawzall. You're going to go right down this frame, right between the frame and the stud there. And you're going to pull this frame off, and then you'll have nothing but studs. So I will do that, and I'll show you where we're at. Okay, we're moving along here. We've pulled the door off, which reminds me, always pull the strike plate off too when you pull off the doorknob, because you'll need that. I didn't like the strike plate, so I'm going to go buy a new one because somebody painted it. But anyways, take the Sawzall just like this, go right down this right here, and then that's what we did on this side. We actually cut it in half because it makes it easier to pull it up. I would film this as I'm doing it, but I'm the only guy here today, so you have to put up with me just showing you as I go. So we're going to pull that up. The sill already has come up with it. In the next minute or so, we'll have this out, and then we'll start putting our new door in. Pretty easy. No problem. Okay, we're preparing our door for a dry fit. Dry fit means do not put silicone into place. Also, pull this board off the bottom of your door. It comes with it to help protect the bottom. If you don't pull that board off, well, your door won't fit. Unless you really screwed up all the measuring, and then it fits fine, and then you've got bigger problems. But let's assume that you did it right. We put the sticky stuff down on the bottom. This is called Jiffy Seal, is what I call it. They call it all sorts of technical names. To be honest with you, I forget what it is. It's just really sticky on one side, and then has a film on it, and once you pull this film off, it's sticky on the other side. For a dry fit, we leave the film on. That way our door doesn't stick to it. Once our door is ready to go in, we will silicone it and put the door into place. Then what we've done is we've also pulled off the stucco mold, and we cleaned up the stucco edge so it's nice and smooth here. This is a stucco mold that we pulled off. So we cut the jamb. You're going to replace that with new stucco molding. Way easier to replace this if you pull off the stucco molding. So we'll get ready to fit the door into place, and we have about 1/2 inch over on our clearance, and that's what these shims are for right here. And we'll show you how to use those as soon as we get the door into place. Okay, we're going to take a minute here and show you some things about dry fitting your door. We have the door dry fit into place. Notice it's sitting on top of that plastic stuff so it doesn't stick to the floor. What we've done is we've opened it and shimmed it up to get the frame fairly level. Speaking of levels, very important. So you have a level. This is a level. So we're trying to level the door in two directions. We want to level the jamb this way, so the bubble is pretty much in the center, and we want to level it this way. Now what we've done here is we put the door into place, and what determines how far out it comes is normally it comes even, the face of this jamb is normally even with this stud back here. You see the stud? A little dark. Okay, let's go up here. Might be a little lighter up here. We'll come around this side. Still can't really see it, but believe me, there's a stud back there. The other way you can do it, which is what I normally do, is this is our stucco mold that we purchased. We put this jamb in pretty much where you want it to go. You slide this stucco mold in so it kind of tucks in right against the stucco, and it kind of shows you where your jamb is supposed to be. See how it fits real nice right there? You do that on both sides, that side and this side. Now this paper sticking out right here, you want that on this side of the jamb, because basically it lays over the jamb and the stucco mold goes over that. That's your water sealer. So right here it's tucked back, but we're going to flip that all out and put it in front before we secure the door into place. So this is where you may want to email us or even give us a call if you have a question about this portion of it. This is a very important part of putting in your door, making sure it's plumb, level, and in the right location. We've also taken back this weather stripping that comes with the door. See, it's put on right there. We've pulled it back for two reasons. One is so we're going to drill screw holes right in here, so we can screw this jamb into this stud. And then when we put this weather stripping back, it'll hide the screw. Very cool, huh? Plus, we pull it out for painting. That way we don't get paint all over this because it's nice white. We paint it, and then it just tucks back into place. It's got a little lip on it right there that just tucks right into that groove. Magic. So, very easy. I keep saying that, but it seems easy. And then the inside will have a gap between the drywall and the jamb, but that's okay. So, any questions? I'm sure you have a ton. I'm going to continue on and hopefully answer them in the next video. Okay, we have our door out. As you can see, we put our Volcrum in the corners. We always put a lot in the corners because that's where bugs come in. That's where the tendency to leak. Put some on top all along there. And then we also pre-drilled our frame, just like I had said, with holes right behind where the weather stripping goes. On pre-drilling, always put some screws right by, as soon as I find them here, the hinges. Ta-da! Because that's what holds your hinges into, there we go, into place. I have some in the center here just for the heck of it, but up near the top I have one too. That's what we're going to level or plumb the jamb with. But basically, we're going to set this into place now and wish us luck. This is the important part of the job because if you have to pull it back out, it makes a big mess all over the place. But we're not going to have that problem. We're going to get it right the first time. Just like you will, I'm sure. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we actually set our door into place on top of the Volcrum. No turning back now, but that's okay. We want to get this done in one day. So what we've done, we set it on there, and we've centered it from side to side with shims. The way we centered it was we took our, this is actually our head rail for the stucco mold, but it fits in here real nice. And so we look good here as far as being out far enough to the stucco. You notice there's a little gap right here. What we're kind of looking for is a reveal from the edge of the stucco to the edge of the jamb, or edge of the stucco mold to the edge of the jamb. Right there. That looks like about, oh, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch. We come on over to the other side. We put this on here. That is also about 3/4 of an inch. Just leave the shim sticking out for right now. We shim that side of the door to make sure this jamb is level going this way. And we are pretty close. And we've stuck shims in the top corner over here to make sure our jamb is level the other way, like this. And we are, focus, focus, focus. Well, anyways, trust me, we're fairly level. We're good enough to what we do now. This is why I like having an air nailer, because I can hold the camera, grab the air nailer, I can put a nail in back here to kind of hold it in place. Try to get high enough to hit the wood instead of the concrete. We do the same thing on this side. Put it right there where that vinyl is going to go. Now we're at least tacked into place. So now we're going to screw this side down first because this holds the door in place. So put shims behind every screw hole, making sure this is nice and plumb, nice and level as we put in the shims and put in the screws. Then we're going to close the door and see how well it fits. And then we shim the other side and we screw it in. And the hard part is done. Here we go. Okay, we've taken the shims out from our door because we have a screw in the bottom by this hinge and we have a screw in the top by this hinge, which is holding it in. So now that we have basically the hinge jamb screwed into the wall, what we're going to do is close the door like magic and see how well it fits. I ran into a slight problem here, which is good because now you can watch for this problem. Well, our problem is that our door is hitting right there and we have an 1/8 inch gap over here like we're supposed to. So what needs to happen is this sill is not quite level. And very typical for the slab not to be level. Something I should have checked with a square in the very beginning, which I forgot to tell you about. Ta-da, square. But now, when we take this square, we put it up in the corner, like this. So I'm going to do this without dropping the camera. You can see we have a bit of a gap over here. That's because this corner is low. Very easy fix though. take our flat bar, put it underneath this jamb right here, and lift it up. And then we're going to screw in this side over here. And then we'll shim the center and screw the center all the way around. And then we'll be done mounting the door. We just have to cut off the shims, put on the stucco mold, mount the hardware. I guess painting it would be good. Anyways, so I'll be back. Okay, so we've got this side is still only screwed in with a screw at the bottom and a screw at the top. And then what we did was we closed the door. Well, we adjusted the bottom like we had said. We put a shim in the bottom that lifted this sill plate a little bit on the left. And now, as it closes, we have a nice even gap. We'll go inside and show that. But first I want to show you a little bit about the gap around the front of it here. When you secure this side jamb into place, you have a natural gap where the weather stripping goes between the jamb and the door all the way around. Very important that as you put in this last leg, that gap is even all the way down like it is on the other side. So it is even. Might not look like it in the picture because of the perspective, but it is even. Now we're going to go to the inside and we're going to shut the door. And what you're going to see here is we have the same gap right down here is also even all the way down, because what we did was we put shims in right where the lock goes. Now shims you normally put in opposite, like when you put them in, you go thick on one side, thin on the other, two shims, and then as you slide them in and out, it decreases or increases the space right here. It makes it very easy to adjust it. So once you get it adjusted, you put a screw right in there, right by the shims, and we're going to do that with the rest of the screw holes, making sure this gap stays even all the way around the door. Allows for paint, and you see this is the gap on the top you're talking about. Now it's nice and even. So that's basically how you install a door nice and plumb and level. So we're going to put in the rest of the shims and the screws, and then comes the fun part. Finishing it up and saying we're done, going home or going to the beach. We'll be back. Okay, so taking video here, I keep getting ahead of myself. We put on the doorknob, and it occurred to me that I already cut off the shims. Normally you don't want to cut off the shims so after you put on your doorknob and adjust it, because at that point you can slide shims in and out. But I'm so confident it's going to work that I went ahead and cut the shims off and then put on the doorknob. I've opened my package for my deadbolt. I'm going to put that on. I pretty much know how to do it, but in case you don't, comes with nifty little instructions to show you how. Your doorknob, of course, did not, because you took it off. If you don't know how to take off a doorknob, you just might want to call a contractor instead of doing this yourself. Doorknobs are pretty easy, but basically, when you take them off, you just put them on the same way they came off. Very basic. So we're going to put on our doorknobs, adjust it, and then we'll do the stucco mold. Okay, we've got the doorknob and the deadbolt in place. They work good with the latches. So we're pretty much done. What we have to do is put on our stucco mold first. So we just cut it at a 40, or cut it square at the bottom, dink, like that. And up top, cut it at a 45. This is where it's good to have a chop saw. You can use a miter saw by hand, but who wants to do that? I don't. Anyways, that goes in there like that. We're going to put that in. We're going to air nail it in. Then we're going to caulk it. And then we're going to take off the deadbolt and doorknob, paint it, put those back on, put the weather stripping on, pack up our tools, go home, go to the beach, do something fun. Anyways, you can do this too. Email us or Facebook us if you have any questions. I'll show you the finished product when we're done. Talk to you soon. Goodbye. Okay, we are done with our door. We are not going to put casing around the inside. This is just a garage. I mean, if you want to, you can trim it out real nice. This homeowner decided not to do that. It only took us a couple hours to install it, and then it actually took us about 3 hours to paint it. That's because I paint always 2 coats minimum, sometimes 3. And the only way to paint this is with a brush. We have our new deadbolt on here. Kwikset deadbolt. Probably have a link to Kwikset on my website or Facebook, one of the two. Because as I said before, this Kwikset, this little hole right here is where you can put in a tool. You basically put in your key, half turn it, put in the tool, pull out your key, put in a new key, pull out the tool, and then turn it back to this position, and you've rekeyed your lock. Very handy. You pay about 10 bucks more for the locks, but it's really worth it not to have to call out a locksmith every time you want to change your keys. Which maybe at your home you don't do that, but for a rental unit you might want to consider that. And then we'll take a look outside here. Outside you can see our stucco mold right there. We've caulked it between the stucco mold and the stucco. Put a couple coats of paint on there. Looks all brand new, really nice. So we're done for the day. It's only 2 o'clock too. That means we have time to go to the beach. Surf's up, everybody. That's the beauty of living in San Diego. So we will see you on the next project. Don't forget to email us or Facebook us. We'll always answer your questions. And until then, we'll see you on the next project. So long, everybody.